Thank you, Candace, for getting us to this point. I'm sorry about the difficulties. I was actually having some technical difficulties in terms of getting to this point. Welcome to all board members and council and district administrators. We are back at today is the July 2nd board meeting. We are going to go right into, we're going to open in public and we're going to go right into exec session and then coming out approximately at 8 p.m. so that we can conduct the business that's on the agenda. With that being said, I would ask that we need a session. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Gonzalez Prescott. A second, please.
Second.
Second by Trustee Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. I'm also going to need a motion to recess general session and convene exec session at 6:11 p.m. for the purpose of negotiations conducted pursuant to the Taylor law involving the Brentwood Teachers Association and seeking a legal advice from our board's attorney. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Trustee Safiri, motion. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Trustee Gonzalez Prescott, second. All in favor?
Aye.
So to the Brentwood community and everybody who's out there, we are going to go right into exec session. And our plan is to come back at 8 p.m. To conduct the business of the school district. We hope to see you then. Candace.
1.
Welcome back to the Brentwood School District community. Thank you for your patience. We're a couple of minutes late, but here we are at July 2nd reorg meeting. I'm going to just turn the meeting over to our district clerk, Kathy Hoey.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, board members, Candace, Superintendent. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
You know what? I'm sorry. Can I back up for a minute? We never made a motion to recess exec session and return to public session. So with that being said, it is 8:12 p.m. Could I have a motion to recess exec session? 8:12.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, trustee Maria Gonzalez Prescott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. I'm sorry about that, Kathy. Go back on.
Okay. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending the reorganizational meeting of the Brentwood Board of Education. This meeting is now called to order at 8:12 p.m. Will Rich Lochner please raise your right hand and take the oath of office as Superintendent of the Brentwood Union Free School District? Where is he?
We can't see you.
Rich, we can't see you, Rich.
All right, while we're waiting for Rich,
Hang on.
Maria,
Hang
you
on,
are.
I apologize.
Rich, if you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Okay.
I state your name.
I, Rich Lochner,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New York,
of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as Superintendent
as Superintendent
of the Brentwood Union Free School District
of the Brentwood Union Free School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
Maria Gonzalez Prescott, please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Maria Gonzalez Prescott,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New York,
of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties
the duties
as trustee
as trustee
of the Brentwood Board of Education
of the Brentwood Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you very much. Simone Holder Daniel, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Simone Holder Daniel,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of
the Constitution of
the United States
the United States
and the Constitution of
and the Constitution of
the State of New York,
the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as trustee
as trustee
of the Brentwood Board of Education
of the Brentwood Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you very much and congratulations. Now, if everybody will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, everyone. At this time, I'm requesting nominations for position of the Brentwood Board of Education President for the 2020-21 school year.
I would like to
I have-
nominate,
Can she finish?
Hold on 1 second. Do I have any nominations for the position of President of the Brentwood Board of Education?
I would like to nominate Robert Feliciano.
Robert, do you accept this nomination?
I do accept the nomination.
Are there any other nominations for the position of President of the Brentwood Board of Education? Are there any other nominations for the position of President of the Brentwood Board of Education? Are there any other nominations for the position of President of the Brentwood Board of Education? Nominations are now declared closed. Those in favor of Robert as President of the Brentwood Board of Education for the 2020 and 2021 school year.
Aye.
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 I abstain.
Aye.
Aye.
So I have 6 yeses and 1 abstention. Congratulations, Robert. You are now the President of the Board of Education for the 2020-2021 school year. If you'd please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Robert Feliciano,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New York,
of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as President
as President
of the Brentwood Board of Education
of the Brentwood Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations and thank you, Robert. I am now turning the meeting over to the Board President, Robert Feliciano.
So thank you to my colleagues on the board for trusting me with another year as president of the board. Each and every year, I'm absolutely humbled by this moment, and I'm always committed to doing everything that I can to represent the board and this district as best I can. So thank you very much. Now we're going to go with the second part of the officers.
Robert, we can barely hear you.
So now I'm going to go with the second part of the officers election. So currently I'm requesting nominations for the position of first vice president for the 2020-2021 school year. Do I have any nominations for the position of first vice president of the Brentwood Board of Education?
I want to nominate
like to-
Eileen Felix.
Julie?
Ms. Burgos?
Yes, I nominate Eileen Felix.
Ms. Felix, do you accept this nomination?
I accept.
Are there any other nominations for the position of first vice president? of
I
the
nominate
Board of
Eileen
Education?
Felix.
She's already been nominated, Ms. Trustee
Oh.
Sapiri.
I would like to nominate Paula Moore.
Are there any other nominations for the position of first vice president of the Brentwood Board of Education? Are there any other nominations for the position of first vice president of the Brentwood Board of Education?
Mr. Feliciano, I'm sorry. Ms. Moore, do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm just waiting.
Ms. Moore, you accept the nomination. Thank you. Thank you, Candace. Are there any other nominations for the position of First Vice President of the Board of Education? Are there any other nominations for the position of First Vice President of the Board of Education? Nominations are declared closed. We have a nomination made by Trustee Burgos to appoint Eileen Felix to the position of First Vice President of the Board of Education. Those in favor of Trustee Felix as First Vice President of the Board of Education, please say aye.
Aye.
Do a roll call, please. Trustee Burgos,
Aye.
Trustee Safiri,
Aye.
Trustee Daniel,
No.
Trustee Gonzalez Prescott,
No.
Trustee Moore,
No.
Trustee Felix,
Yes.
Trustee Feliciano, no. So the motion has failed. We have a nomination made by Trustee Simone Holder to appoint Trustee Paula Moore to the position of First Vice President of the Brentwood Board of Education. Those in favor of Trustee Paula Moore as First Vice President of the Brentwood Board of Education, we'll have to do a roll call again. Trustee Burgos,
No.
Trustee Safiri,
No.
Trustee Daniel,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez,
Yes.
Trustee Felix.
No.
I'm going to vote yes. Trustee Moore,
Yes.
4-3. The motion passes. Congratulations, Trustee Moore. You are now First Vice President for the 2021 school year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, Paula, will you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I state your name.
I, G. Paula Moore,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duty
as First Vice President
as First Vice President
of the Brentwood Board of Education
of the Brentwood Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now I'm requesting nominations for the position of Second Vice President for the 2020-2021 school year. Do I have any nominations for the position of Second Vice President of the Brentwood Board of Education?
I nominate Maria Gonzalez.
Ms. Gonzalez, do you accept this nomination?
Yes, I do.
Nominations for the position of Second Vice President for the Brentwood Board of Education.
Can't hear you, Robert.
Are there any other nominations for the position of Second Vice President of the Brentwood Board of Education? Are there any other nominations for the position of Second Vice President of the Brentwood Board of Education? Are there any other nominations for this position of Second Vice President of the Brentwood Board of Education? Nominations are declared closed. We have a nomination made by Trustee Paula Moore to appoint Maria Gonzalez Prescott to the position of Second Vice President of the Brentwood Board. Who's in favor of Maria Gonzalez Prescott as Brentwood Board of Education Second Vice President?
Robert, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Those in favor? Those in favor of Maria Gonzalez Prescott as Brentwood Board of Education Second Vice President? Ms. Burgos,
I abstain.
Ms. Safiri,
I abstain.
Ms. Holder,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Felix.
Abstain.
I am going to vote yes. Ms. Gonzalez Prescott.
Yes.
Did Maria say no?
No,
Say
she
yes.
said-
She said yes. She's jumping at the yes. You didn't hear her?
So Ms. Gonzalez Prescott has been appointed as Second Vice President of the Brentwood Board of Education for the 2020-2021 school year. Congratulations, Trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Ms. Hoey, would you do the oath of office?
Okay, Maria, if you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Maria Gonzalez Prescott,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as Second Vice President
as Second Vice President
of the Brentwood Board of Education
of the Brentwood Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So thank you, members of the board, and congratulations again to all of the officers. I am going to go to the reorg agenda. And we are, I believe that we are now on item 5A, which is District Clerk of the Board of Education. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints Ms. Kathleen Hoey to serve as District Clerk for the 2020 year.
Robert,
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Robert.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
yes.
Okay,
Robert,
So-
just so you know, it seems that when you face forward, we're able to hear you better.
okay, I will face forward. So be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints Ms. Kathleen Hoey to serve as District Clerk for the 2020-2021 school year, and be it further resolved that the same shall be compensated at her annual salary plus 1.5%, and be it further resolved that in the event of Ms. Hoey's absence, it is recommended that Stacy O'Connor be designated as the unpaid substitute District Clerk, and be it further resolved that the constitutional oaths of office be administered to the District Clerk by the President of the Board of Education. What we are going to do, just so that members of the public know, that we are going to forego the oaths of office during this meeting. I will be in the district admin to administer these oaths of office. And the District Clerk will do the same for the various appointments that we have going on for the rest of the night. So could I have a motion for 5A, District Clerk of the Board of Education?
Motion.
Second.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstention, opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Congratulations, Ms. Hoey. Item 5B, District Treasurer. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints Ms. Nancy Carollo, District Treasurer for the 2021 school year, and be it further resolved that her annual salary for the 2020-2021 school year shall be at her current salary plus 1.5%, and be it further resolved that in the event Ms. Carollo's absence, it is recommended that Nicole Valente be designated as the unpaid substitute treasurer to act when necessary during the year. And be it further resolved that the constitutional oath of office be administered to the District Clerk to the district treasurer by the district clerk. Could I have a motion on 5B?
Motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Item 5C, district purchasing agent. Be it resolved with the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints Mr. Eric Carlin, district purchasing agent for the 2020-21 school year. Be it further resolved, in the event of Mr. Carlin's absence, it is recommended that Frank Hark be designated as the paid substitute purchasing agent to be paid at the BIPSO rate to act when necessary during the school year. And be it further resolved that the constitutional oath of office be administered to the district purchasing agent by the district clerk. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? So moved. Audit committee charter and members, be it resolved that upon the recommendation of schools, superintendent of schools, that the Board of Education hereby approves the audit committee charter and appoints the following members to the district's 2020-2021 audit committee: Robert Feliciano, Simone Holder Daniel, Samuel Bernard, Michael Malazzo, and Celia Vollmer. Be it further resolved that the constitutional oath of office shall be administered to the district audit committee by the district clerk. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Moore, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Item 5E, be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints Noraki Smith as claims auditor for the 2020-2021 school year at an annual fee of $30,000. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion must Gonzalez Prescott, trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second, trustee Julie Burgos. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Item 5F, external auditor. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of superintendent of schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints EFPR Group CPAs as external auditor for the 2020-2021 school year at an annual fee of $40,000. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion Gonzalez Prescott.
Second.
Could I have a second? Trustee Burgos?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Item 5G, District Records Officer and Appeals Officer. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints the district clerk to serve as District Records Officer for 2020-2021 school year and will be responsible for responding to all Freedom of Information law requests. Be it further resolved that it is recommended that the Superintendent of Schools shall be appointed the Records Appeals Officer for the 2020-2021 school year. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, trustee Felix. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second, trustee Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Legal counsel, be it resolved that upon the recommendation of superintendent of schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints Bond, Schoenig and King, PLLC, and Ingerman and Smith, LLP, to provide legal services to the district as listed for the 2020-2021 school year. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion.
Motion Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a
Second.
second, please?
Second.
Trustee Burgos, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Fiscal advisor, be it resolved, 5I, be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints Unistat the fiscal advisor for the 2020-2021 school year, and be it further resolved that Unistat shall be paid on the annual basis, provide fiscal advice pertaining to bans, TANs, and SEC filings and bond issues. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Trustee Felix. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second.
Trustee Safiri is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Internal auditor. Be Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints the firm of Serini and Associates LLP as internal auditor for the 2020-2021 school year at the following hourly rates as listed on the agenda. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, trustee Moore. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Trustee Simone Holder Daniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Title IX Compliance Officers. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints the Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education Programs and Policies, the Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Education, and the Payroll Manager as the district's Title IX Compliance Officers for the 2020-2021 school year. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Trustee Felix, motion. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Trustee Gonzalez, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. 504 Compliance Officer. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints the Director of Special Services as the district's 504 Compliance Officer for the 2020-2021 school year. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Trustee Burgos, could I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Trustee Simone Holder Daniels is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Item 5M, Asbestos Compliance Officer. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby appoints the Assistant Plant Facilities Administrator and as the Asbestos Compliance Officer for the 2020-2021 school year. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Trustee Moore. Could I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Felix with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Consent agenda. Be it resolved that the following items be approved. 6A and 6B. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Trustee Gonzalez. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second.
Second, Trustee Holder Daniels. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Could I be it resolved that the following items be approved? 7A through 7I. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Trustee Felix. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second, Trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. The item J is just an item for information, I believe, but I'm going to read it to the community that might not see our agenda. Item J reads, district-owned cell phones to be in compliance with the district cell phone policy 8332. A list of employees requiring district-owned cell phones is being presented to the Board of Education for review only. And this is just information only. We are now on to item number 8, which is motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting. So motion to adjourn reorganization meeting and convene the business meeting is in order at this time. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Burgos. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second.
Trustee Safiri is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Trustees, if you could see the business meeting agenda that we have in front of you. We did get through the A1, which was the pledge to flag. B1, financial reports. I'm just going to read what's here. The June 2020 financial reports will be submitted at the August 20th, at the August 2020 meeting. This is necessary as the Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operation prepares to close the fiscal records for the 2019-2020 school year. In terms of the consent agenda, before we move forward, board members, we are going to amend item B to G. It's authorized users for their Home Depot credit cards. And that is
What are we amending?
what we're going to do is we're going to add a seventh name to that agenda. So the seventh name that would be authorized as a Home Depot credit card user is Nick Inga, N-I-C-K. Last name is I-N-G-A, and his position in the district is currently a maintenance mechanic 3. So we will be amending with that in mind. So be it resolved that the following items be approved: B2A through B2BB, B2BB, as amended. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion. Trustee Gonzalez. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Trustee Holder Daniels. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Be it resolved that the following items be approved: C1A and C1B. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion. Trustee Felix. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second, Trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
So moved. We are now going to go to the D items, which is page 12 on your agenda. These are separate voting items. D1A, appointments, resignations, and leaves of certificated personnel. Board members, we are going to make a change on item number 1. The end date is listed as July 1st, 2020. We are now going to change that date to August 2nd, 2020. So we have number 1, end date changing from July 1st, 2020 to August 2nd, 2020. So D1A, appointments, resignations, and leaves of certificated personnel as amended. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Gonzalez. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Just again, for the viewing public, there is an item on D1A that identifies tenured teacher candidates that was also part of this certificated personnel agenda. D1B, appointments, resignations, and leaves of non-certificated personnel as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Trustee Safiri. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second, Trustee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1C. Approval of abolishment of positions. A motion would be in order to adopt the resolution as follows. Whereas it has been determined that there is an economic and/or operational need to eliminate 2 full-time competitive civil service positions in the job titles of School Transportation Coordinator and Assistant Food Service Supervisor, Head Cook. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby abolishes 2 full-time competitive civil service positions in the job titles of School Transportation Coordinator and Assistant Food Service supervisor, head cook. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accesses the employees discussed in the executive session as employee number 15347 and employee number 15863, who currently maintain said positions in the job titles of school transportation coordinator and assistant food service supervisor, head cook, effective September 18th, 2020 and September 21st, 2020. Could I have a motion?
Robert,
Motion.
can I make the motion to table it for further discussion?
You could make a motion. Does anybody want to table? Okay.
You want to move?
Could I have a motion on this item?
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Maria Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Trustee Burgos. Second. Ms. Daniel, your speaker is off. Your microphone is off. There you go. Okay. So we have a first by Trustee Gonzalez. We have a second by Trustee Burgos. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Opposed? So
Abstain.
6 opposed, 1 abstention.
Abstain.
2 abstain.
So moved. D1D, approval abolishment of position. Whereas it has been determined that there is an economic and/or operational need to abolish a central office administrative position, the job title of Coordinator of Human Resources. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby abolishes the position of Coordinator of Human Resources and accesses the incumbent in said position effective August 1st, 2020. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Trustee Safiri? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I abstain.
Abstain.
502. So moved. Memorandum of Agreement. A motion would be in order to adopt the resolution as follows. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby approves a memorandum of agreement dated July 1st, 2020 between the Brentwood Union Free School District, the Brentwood Principals and Supervisors Organization, and a certain staff member, and authorizes the President of the Board of Education to execute the memorandum of agreement on behalf of the district. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Trustee Felix, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed?
abstain.
So 6 in favor. Anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions?
I abstain.
Trustee Burgos abstains. So
That's
moved.
D1. I abstain.
I think Cindy changed.
Okay.
Can we
So-
go back to D1C, please? I just want to make sure. I abstained on that one also. I don't know if you got
Yes.
it. Okay.
So motion, so moved on motion D1E memorandum of agreement. D1F, approval of retired personnel. A motion would be in order to adopt as follows. Be resolved that
Can't hear.
motion would be in order to adopt the resolution as follows. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby approves Mr. John Nipsel, Mr. Frank Hark, and Mr. Kevin O'Reilly to assist on an as-needed basis, July 1st, 2020 through August 14th, 2020. And be it further resolved that Mr. Nipsel, Mr. Hark, and Mr. O'Reilly shall be remunerated at a rate of $300 per day for days worked in accordance with the negotiated agreement between the Brentwood School District and the Brentwood Principals and Supervisors Organization. And be it further resolved that Mr. Nipsel and Mr. Hark shall be permitted to cash in an additional 5 vacation days in the 2019-2020 school year at the agreed upon BIPSO rate. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Trustee Felix with the motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second.
Trustee Moore is the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1G, tax anticipated notes as proposed on the agenda.
Robert, can I just remind you that this needs a roll call vote, please?
Yes, yes. So this is tax anticipated notes, and Ms. O'Connor, if I can just summarize this, this is just basically, getting the money up front for future payments that are owed on taxes that are due to the district, right?
Well, this would be yes, because we don't collect our tax revenue until January. So if we need to borrow cash until we get that tax money, that's what this is authorizing.
Okay, so D1G as proposed on the agenda, the adoption of the foregoing resolution needs a motion. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Safiri. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Trustee Burgos. So the adoption of the foregoing resolution was motioned by Trustee Safiri and seconded by Trustee Burgos and duly put to a vote on a roll call, which resulted as follows. Could I have a roll call, please? Trustee Burgos.
Yes.
Trustee Safiri.
Yes.
Trustee Holder Daniel.
Yes.
Trustee Moore.
Yes.
Trustee Felix.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Prescott.
Yes.
And I am also a yes. So the ayes are 7 and the noes are 0. The
Mr.
resolution was,
Feliciano?
yes.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask if we could go back to agenda item D1C when you're finished with the current item.
Okay, the resolution was declared and adopted. Ms. Gomez.
Thank you. So it was just brought to my attention that on agenda item D1C, which
Yep.
references 2 full-time competitive civil service positions, only one of those positions is actually competitive. So in order to make this resolution accurate, I'm suggesting that perhaps the board would like to rescind the previous vote and amend the resolution to read 2 full-time civil service positions and delete the word competitive and take a revote on this.
Okay. So could I have a motion to rescind the vote on this, please?
Motion.
Motion.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
I will read it again. D1C, approval, abolishment of positions. The motion would be in order to adopt the resolution as follows. Where it has been determined that there is an economic and/or operational need to eliminate 2 full-time competitive civil service positions in the job titles of school transportation coordinator and assistant food service supervisor, head cook. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby abolishes 2 full-time civil service positions in the job titles of school transportation coordinator and assistant food service supervisor, head cook. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accesses the employees discussed in executive session as employee number 15347 and employee number 15863, who currently maintain said positions in the job titles of school transportation coordinator and assistant food service supervisor, head cook, effective September 18th, 2020 and September 21st, 2021. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Trustee Safiri. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Simone Holt Daniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I abstain.
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 3. Motion so moved. So now I believe that we are on D1H. A resolution declaring that the second Monday in October will
Sorry,
be
what number,
known,
Robert?
I believe that it's D1H, D1H. It's
D1.
page number 17.
Okay.
D1H, a resolution declaring that the second Monday in October will be known as Indigenous Peoples' Day in the Brentwood Union Free School District. Whereas there is a growing recognition and understanding in the United States that a way of life for Indigenous people was irrevocably impacted with the arrival of the first European immigrants to the Americas. And whereas the European colonization of North America led to the suppression, forced assimilation, and genocide of Indigenous peoples and their cultures. And whereas officially recognizing Indigenous Peoples' Day on the second Monday of October would help to provide a more balanced representation of our nation's history and would constitute a small act of restitution for the hardships endured by Indigenous peoples since the onset of European colonization of the Americas. And whereas since 1992, more than 130 cities and many states have replaced Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples' Day. And whereas the Brentwood Union Free School District embraces an open and affirming community that celebrates diversity and rejects the oppression of any peoples, including Indigenous peoples. And whereas the Brentwood Union Free School District is committed to promoting respect for and an understanding for the nation's Indigenous community, their long history, and their continuing contribution to contemporary society. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Brentwood Union Free School District will officially and permanently recognize and designate on the district calendar the second Monday in October each year as Indigenous Peoples' Day. And be it further resolved, the Brentwood Union Free School District, in consultation with the Native American and Indigenous community, will support the development and distribution of culturally appropriate materials to educate faculty, staff, students, and the Brentwood Union Free School District community about Indigenous peoples. I need a motion.
Motion.
I just want to ask again, what number are you reading from? I have it, but I have a different number.
D1H.
Bottom
by-
17, top of 18.
Okay.
Yes. Trustee Gonzalez has the motion. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Trustee Moore is the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1I, this is, we're now at page 18. A resolution declaring Juneteenth a holiday for the Brentwood Union Free School District. Whereas the news of liberation of slaves came to Texas more than 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation went into effect on January 1st, 1863. African Americans across the state were made aware of their right to freedom on June 19th, 1865, when Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston with federal troops to read General Order No. 3, announcing the end of the Civil War and that all enslaved people were now free, as well as to maintain a presence in Texas for the purpose of enforcement of emancipation among slave owners throughout the state. And whereas the Brentwood Union Free School District has a tradition of acknowledging significant milestones in advancing the cause of freedom, and New Yorkers, some of whom descend directly from those brave men and women that gained freedom on that day, join in celebrating the 155th anniversary of Juneteenth, an observance of that commemorates the official announcement made in the state of Texas regarding the abolition of slavery and the freeing of some 250,000 African Americans. And whereas the observance of Juneteenth honors the history, perseverance, and achievements of African Americans and celebrates America's progress and continuing commitment to realizing the principles of liberty and equality upon which our nation was founded. And whereas this observance is a reminder of the hardships and losses suffered by African Americans in their struggle to attain freedom, and we pay tribute to the memory of those who made the ultimate sacrifice in this quest, through their experiences and those of others who were successful in achieving victory. We find among the most poignant and valuable lessons of humankind that continue to resonate with people of all backgrounds. And whereas the official emancipation of African Americans throughout the United States literally and figuratively opened doors of opportunity that enabled following generations to contribute immeasurably to our nation's richness, equality of citizens, and global leadership. And today, communities across our state mark the anniversary of Juneteenth with appropriate commemoration, and whereas it is fitting that all New Yorkers join to commemorate such an important day in our nation's history, as we take this opportunity to reflect upon and rejoice in the freedom and civil rights that we all share as Americans, and to reiterate a founding principle of this country, that all men are created equal. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Brentwood Union Free School District will officially and permanently recognize and designate on the district calendar each year a school closure to be held between June 1st and June 19th to commemorate Juneteenth. And such closure shall occur on June 19th or the last school day immediately preceding the June 19th, whenever possible, without conflicting with Regents examinations. And such closure shall occur on a date otherwise scheduled for student instruction. And be it further resolved that the Brentwood Union Free School District, in consultation with the African American community, will support the development and distribution of culturally appropriate materials to educate faculty, staff, students, and the Brentwood Union Free School District community about Juneteenth. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second.
Trustee Safiri is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Items E1 are items for information. E1A are student enrollment figures.
I hear you.
F12 is miscellaneous items. And we are now at G1A, old and new business. I'm going to take this moment to just ask, if I can, Mr. Lochner and Ms. O'Connor a couple of questions in terms of, what just happened, and and what is it that we're doing, and what is it that we're trying to do. Mr. Lochner, I was wondering if you can, I don't know, in some kind of way, summarize what it is that the district has been forced to do, considering the lack of state aid, and what it is that we are preparing for. I know that we have spoken in the past about potentially trying to find $30 million in our budget. Can you speak to the reorganization and abolishments of positions, and how it is that we're trying to combine departments, Mr. Lochner?
Yes. As you've heard me say a number of times over the last few months, that unfortunately we did not, as of April 1st, when the budget came out, we actually did not receive any additional foundation aid from the prior year, which I'm not sure that has ever happened in the history of Brentwood. Certainly not in my time here. And not only did we not receive additional foundation aid, we actually went down almost $500,000, which really was a devastating blow to the Brentwood community. So since that point, we've actually been doing a number of items, as you can imagine, to try to make up that huge deficit. We had hoped to get at least a 12, 13, $14 million increase over last year's foundation aid. So when we actually went down, you can imagine the devastating effect that it had on our budget. So really, since our April 1st, we have been looking at a number of ways to reduce reduce our budget. So obviously, you'll notice too that there were a number of teachers that were abolished. Obviously, what we had to do was take a look at, very closely at our staffing next year. And we did, move teachers around, and we actually, unfortunately had to lay off a number of teachers, but it couldn't really end there. We had to look at the administrative table of organization as well. And we're combining several departments to try to, create some efficiencies. But obviously this is driven by the economics of the situation. And so, as you mentioned, we abolished some positions. We're combining transportation and purchasing. We're also combining payroll and human resources. Both those 4 departments will be headed up by 2 people, thereby saving some, making it economically more efficient. And we hope, obviously structurally that will help us also moving into the future. It doesn't end there. We obviously have a number of retirees across all of the departments. Although that will not be listed as abolishments, there'll be lots of the retirements in all units, that is, all units that will not be filled. And again, what this is trying to do is to, make the district, as financially stable as possible. We're also, very frightened about, the ongoing situation. As you know, that we're still really in a crisis in New York State in particular, obviously the country as a whole, but in New York State particular. So we're concerned that the governor, he has talked about it, and we've all heard it a number of times over the last few months. He's mentioned that he does anticipate cutting school districts up to 20% of their foundational aid. Obviously, that would have a devastating effect if he reduced us by 20%. That would that would actually be over $40 million for something that we really could not sustain a hit like that. But we do have to prepare for some type of reduction in state aid next year. Obviously, I think even a Newsday article just recently said something along the lines of billions, 60 billion, number was thrown around, a deficit in terms of tax revenue, and they anticipate that number growing even next year, 20 into 2021. So we have to really prepare as a district. We have to be kind of lean going into the school year because of what happened on April 1st. And now we have to be, very careful in terms of our budget going into next year, because we do have to anticipate the governor may in fact reduce us by, whatever percentage that he, deems necessary.
Mr. Lucia, I mean, you make a very good point, and we've talked about this so many times before, but I feel like we can't say it enough. In our planning with the budget, it's not just, we don't just go from, we're not just worried about this year, we're worried about, next year and the years down the road because of the ripple effect that these cuts have. Can you just expand on how much time you've actually spent on not just this year, but forecasting for, 2 years down the road?
How much time that I spent and Stacy have spent and Eric and a number of people across the district. Obviously, all assistant superintendents have been involved in this as well. A tremendous amount of time trying to forecast, where we'll be next year. And that's why we're trying to build in some efficiencies this year. That's why obviously the combining of certain departments. We've also looked at some programs too that, we've reduced. As you know, summer school, we reduced this going into this summer for a number of reasons, but obviously a lot of that was driven financially. There'll be other impacts. I mean, I'm very happy to say that nothing in terms of academics will be impacted. Programs that would impact what's going on in the classroom. However, we have to look around at other things to see where we can get money to anticipate, just in case they do reduce us.
Mr. Lucia, could you also, I mean, I think there's something else that I don't think is visible to the community because those names don't appear on our HR report. But there is something else that we are doing as a board and as a central administration, in that we are not replacing some of the retirees. So they would show up as a retirement, but it's a huge savings in terms of certain positions that we're not replacing, and thereby creating savings. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, no. That's actually you're very accurate on that. Without listing, each position, I was saying earlier that that's not just in the teaching or administrative. That's actually in every single unit 237 BCA. We're going through each retirement very carefully, and we're determining whether that position can not be filled permanently or if it cannot be filled for a year. And we can revisit it in another year to see if we can efficiently move forward without that position. So that's really what we're doing. As a matter of fact, Ms. O'Connor and I were talking this morning that I had some lists updated today that I asked HR to send me. I'll have some other lists updated on Monday. And, Ms. O'Connor and I will go through them carefully again to take a look, to say we can live without this position, or we can't live without this position. Obviously, we would prefer to fill every position because I do believe they're necessary. Let me be clear about that. I really do. However, we do have to look, 1 year, 2 year down the road. Can we, maybe not do with this particular position for a year, reevaluate after a year before we go into that second year. So no, we're looking very closely. And we'll continue to do that across the summer. And, as the governor comes out and recommends how we re-enter in September, that will also have an impact on our budgets for next year. And we'll take a look very carefully what we have to do, because obviously if he, recommends certain things, that might have an impact on our budget. And we have to be, cognizant of that as we move forward.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lotion. I am going to ask Ms. O'Connor if she can expand. I know that there have been multiple questions about the food service program, and that budget is not something that we usually discuss, and we don't make it a part of our budget meetings. But Ms. O'Connor, if you can take a moment, how is it that we can save money for the district, in terms of, the food service budget and the general funds budget? Can you explain that so that the general public can understand how it is that we make changes and adjustments, and therefore, saving the district, a credible amount of money?
Sure. A number of years ago, we actually started by putting some of the custodians, the daytime custodians that work in the kitchens, we transferred a percentage of their salary, because they're not completely working in the kitchen. They do other things around the building as well. But we transferred a portion of their salary into the school lunch budget, which saved that amount of salary within the general fund budget. So it was a savings to the general fund budget. Looking at our situation now, we have other opportunities to push other salaries into that. I have a position in the payroll department that primarily does payroll for the school lunch department. There's another person in the HR department that strictly works on the school lunch department, hiring for that department. So we could push, a good percentage of her salary into the school lunch fund, as well as that payroll person that I mentioned earlier. We also have nighttime custodians that we really haven't touched yet, but the nighttime custodians that are assigned to the kitchens, there may be an opportunity to see what percentage of their time they spend on cleaning that kitchen as opposed to other areas, within the building, and move that percentage of their salary into the school lunch budget. So there is, certainly a way to, have a savings to the general fund budget and kind of charge that off to the school lunch fund.
Mr. O'Connor, can you tell me where the funding for the school lunch program comes from?
Sure, the funding for that comes strictly by meal served. So we get reimbursement from both the state and the federal government based on the number of meals served. And that's the revenue to the program. There are also other sales that they have when school is open, adults buy meals, or the kids have the snack line. But the main reimbursement that we get, the main revenue we get, is reimbursement from the state and federal government.
And what kind of risks do we have now that we didn't have because of this crisis? I know that you had mentioned a couple of those things to some of the members. Can you expand on that in terms of, through this crisis and reimbursements of that program?
Sure. I've worked very closely with the school lunch department, since the shutdown. I've been in a number of kitchens. I've worked right alongside of them. I've served meals. And I really feel we did a tremendous job for the community. We were serving on average, 60,000 meals a week, which is an extremely high number. But when you look at what we typically serve, our number of meals served during that period were considerably lower than what we would have served if the kids were, in the school and buying these meals. So our revenue, we know, is going to be down for March, April, May, and June. Our salaries, we still had all of the salaries, so that's still going to be there, that expenditure. So we expect to see some lower or underperforming months. I could put it that way, in the school lunch fund, at least for the past 3 or 4 months. We don't know what the future looks like. Are we going to open up, fully next year? Is it going to be a hybrid model? So the potential to continue losing money in that fund is certainly still there.
Mr. O'Connor, there was something else that we've even discussed in the audit committee over and over again. And I think that there are some community members who are questioning. So there seems to be a surplus in the food service budget. Can you explain why it is that you maintain a surplus in that food service line?
Sure, and I'd like to, really just say what a great job our school lunch staff is doing over the years, many, many years, to build up the surplus. It's by, changing up meals so the kids buy more, and which brings up that reimbursement that I had just talked about. So for a number of years, and again, it's when I started here 15 years ago, 16 years ago, there was a surplus. But we have seen, we're now in a place where we're not going to see that continue. We have to invest into our kitchens. Our freezers simply don't, we have so many more students now, our freezers are just packed with food that we need more freezer space and refrigeration space. So now we have to invest back into the kitchen so we can continue to serve, the volume of students that we are, when we get back to the typical program. But moving forward, that surplus, like I said, we've had some underperforming months, or we're losing money now in that fund, and that's going to eat away that fund balance.
So, Ms. O'Connor,
depending on how long this goes on.
Is it fair to say that the surplus is kind of that rainy day fund that we keep in our general fund, which is approximately 4% of our total budget? I mean, that is something that the state allows us to do. And I know that we've talked about this in the past, and that surplus acts as a buffer for any changes in reimbursement from the federal government that might be seen or unforeseen, and exactly to the point that you're saying now, that there may be items, capital expenses, that may have to be paid out of that budget, right? So bringing it down to zero would be absolutely unwise. It's not the way you should run a business. You've said this. I'm just repeating what you've told me in the past.
Sure, it's absolutely, a concern to bring that down to zero, because you're not allowed to leave that fund at a negative balance. So if that fund goes negative, the general fund is required to pay to bring that to a zero balance again. So that is a threat towards, the general fund and potential funding within the general fund.
Okay. Mr. Lochner, are you there? I can't see you on the screen.
I am
you hear
here.
me, Mr. Lochner? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Mr. Lochner, just one more thing that I wanted to ask. When the pandemic started, no one had any notice. We didn't have any notice at all, and there were many school districts that were absolutely put by surprise, and we were, so many people were unprepared for this. With it being said, and with the forecasts that are now being put out there, that there is potentially a second wave, will we be prepared for distance learning if this should happen? And now with this kind of notice that we're getting from the healthcare experts, I know that we can't predict what the second wave is going to look like, but we've already experienced this in the past, and going into the future, we will no longer be able to say that we didn't know this was coming. How do you feel about the preparedness of the Brentwood School District in terms of, electronic devices, in terms of all those things that I know you've been diligently working on?
Yeah, actually, feeling pretty confident that we will have everything in place come September. Of course, we are anxiously awaiting some type of direction from the governor. I mean, you've heard me say at a few of these meetings that, there are obviously certain options that we're waiting for him to kind of narrow, give us a narrow focus on. We're hoping, and all indications are, however, please, I'm not making any prediction, that we will return, all students will return in September. That's kind of where I believe the governor is leaning towards. However, I have no inside information. One of the reasons I bring that up is because Connecticut, as you know, and New Jersey, the two surrounding states, their governors recently came out and said that they would be returning in September. And I know that the Governor Cuomo actually tries to, work with those two particular governors, Pennsylvania as well, when he's making his decisions. So that's one of the reasons I'm kind of leaning towards in person. With that being said, however, even if we're not, and it is some type of hybrid model, that would be where students would come in on possibly alternating weeks, or parts of the district would be in full time. Let's say, for example, elementary schools and secondary might be on an A and B week, for example. We will be prepared, tremendously prepared. As a matter of fact, I talked to Ms. O'Connor today, and I sent something over to IT. That we're looking to purchase even more tablets, so that for instance, one of the things that we're looking at is to give all of the secondary students tablets. So at the beginning of the year, so if in fact there is a second wave, let's say the end of September or beginning of October, if then we have to go to some type of distance learning platform at that point, everyone who can have a tablet will have it. And we're working our way down from obviously the secondary division all the way down into the elementary. And that's what we're determining now. At what grade level do we stop, or do we go all the way down to kindergarten? But all of those decisions will be made prior to the start of the school year. And we'll keep the community informed as soon as we know from the governor which direction he would like us to go in. Then we have all of these options already designed. As soon as we have real clearance, real guidance rather, we'll submit that to the community so they'll be able to make preparations themselves.
So Losha, can you go over the amounts of devices that we have already purchased and what we have on order, and when those devices will be coming in? I know that some of those are on back order.
Yeah, many of them are on back order. So currently we probably have I think we were calculating that today. It's funny you're asking that, Mr. Feliciano. I think we have about 8,500. Again, I'm rounding at this point, and we're looking to purchase more. That's what that note that I just said I sent to IT and Ms. O'Connor earlier today, because I would like to get to, by the middle of March, I'd like to get somewhere around 11 to 12,000 tablets. That's still not going to bring us to, obviously we have 19,000 students, but there's other considerations there. Do we give a tablet per household, or do we give a tablet per student? Those are questions that we're working on right now. Or do we give, and as I said, we'd like to start in the secondary division and work our way back, possibly maybe to third grade students, third grade and above. But again, these are all decisions that we're working on, and a lot obviously has to do with budget. Now, we just got done speaking about the impact no foundation aid has had on our district. It's had a tremendous impact. And obviously equipment is very expensive. We're spending millions of dollars to try to really bring in these tablets and laptops. So we have to be financially prudent, while we're also trying to anticipate what will be needed in September.
Mr. Lochner, so I just, again, I'm just trying to address some of the concerns that have been brought to me.
Sure.
So the middle school, there are approximately, 3,500 kids in the middle school. I just did the quick math, 35 multiplied by 4 is approximately 14,000 just in middle school. Or let's just bring it down to 3,000 per middle school. Is that fair?
No, actually, I think I think you're multiplying by 4 there. There's probably about 1,000 per middle school. So that's 4,000. Yeah, 4,000 total in a middle school. Between the freshman center and the high school, and again, I'm rounding, it's about 5,000. It's probably more like 4,800 and 4,000. So between the middle school and the freshman center and high school, you're probably looking at about 8,800 tablets. And then obviously, if we work down from 5th grade, 4th grade, and 3rd grade, then that number obviously would increase. Perfect. So then there's about 8,800 in the secondary. We're at about 8,500 in terms of devices. That is definitely within striking range. I know that that you're doing everything that you can, your staff, central administration. Obviously, you have the support of the board, Mr. Lochner, to do what you have to do in order to give our kids in the upcoming school year the chance to learn as effectively as possible. Right. With the thought that there may be a second wave come September or later on in the year. So is there anything now that you would want? I mean, is there a priority now that you think is not being met in terms of this possibility? No, there isn't. And I do appreciate you saying that, Mr. Feliciano, that I have the support of the board, and I do appreciate that. As I said, we're moving forward with purchasing additional tablets. I do want to also tell you that we're also looking into grants. Dr. Leone, I also, as a matter of fact, this week has spoken to him, to ask if we can. He's shaking the bushes looking for grant opportunities that we can, possibly apply to some types of grants to get other technology in. We're trying every possible avenue to shake some funds loose from different funding sources to try to purchase additional hardware. You also have to remember, when we bring in this is a tremendous amount of tablets. Each one has to be imaged, and they actually have to be imaged. If you're going to use the tablet solely at home, it gets imaged one way. If you're going to use it home and school, it gets imaged a different way. And those are some of the things that we're also looking into. And you have to remember too, we're also concerned about the families that might not have internet access. We're looking into purchasing devices there, and that's quite costly also. We would like to provide internet access to certain families that might be in need. And as you can imagine, that also is costly, and we're looking into that hardware as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Lochner. So I just want to close just by, I think bringing up something I think is going to put a smile on everybody's face, in that this week, Mr. Lochner, you and your team and the high school administration pulled off something that we didn't ever think was going to happen. We had, 4 days, 13, I want to say 13 different ceremonies, because I don't know how you count that. Today's ceremony, is that the 12th or is it the 13th? I think it's the 12th, but it was almost like we got an extra point for that one today. I know that a lot of the board members
had participated in these graduation ceremonies. It was so wonderful to see that we were able to bring it back home, and that the governor did allow for, that 100 and 150 or whatever the number was in terms of groups getting together, people getting together. The few times that I was there, and I would say that the board members that were there would agree, it was beautiful. It was absolutely wonderful. And I want to say, thank you to everybody that was involved on behalf of the entire board. Thank you to everyone who was involved in making this happen, in pushing this to be a reality for the Brentwood School District. To all the families and the graduates, congratulations. It was nice to see everybody. Mr. Loshina, I'm going to give it to you because I know you've been at the forefront of all of this.
Well, I agree with everything you said. It really was a beautiful week. I have to say it was quite moving, and I want to thank the board, for backing it. It really was terrific. The high school administration did a wonderful job. Mr. Callan, Mr. Gessick, Ms. Crawford, Ms. DeVita. There's lots of others, Ms. Santarelli, and Dr. Doolin, just fabulous. They really worked their tail off to make it extra special. And I think that's what we do here in Brentwood. I mean, we go the extra mile. We really do. It might have been, it would have been nice. It really would have if we did the drive-by ceremony. I am sure, as I said, we do things right. We try to make it special no matter what kind of event we're putting on. And I'm certain though that would have been nice as well. That was going to be held over at Suffolk Community College. However, once this opportunity, came up that we could have an in-person, although it was tremendous. It was obviously everybody was socially distant. It was very well organized and orchestrated. And once we had that opportunity, I think it was just beautiful. We had parents sitting with their children, with their sons and daughters, I should say. And, it was just so moving. The speeches were wonderful. Mr. Feliciano, Ms. Felix, and Ms. Burgos, you guys gave beautiful talks. Our Vals and Sals, I think, were outstanding. I just think top to bottom, it really was special. Now, obviously, it was 12 different ceremonies, and so we had to be rather efficient. So it was between an hour and 15 minutes. But the highlight of everyone's graduation is really seeing their son and daughter walk across that stage. And it really was beautiful. And everybody being so small, we had 12 different ones. So obviously, were quite small and intimate. Really, everybody kind of, felt special. And that's what you want graduations to be, where kids and families feel special at the end of it. And I think the overwhelming response has been extremely, extremely positive. So we're glad that we were able to do that for the families and for the graduates of 2020. They really were, unfortunately, gypped out of a lot of, wonderful moments that they could have had the last few months. And I think we've tried as a district to make as many memorable moments for them. This graduation being one, the drive-by, a number of other things that we've done over the last few months. So hopefully they're certainly never going to forget when they graduated. That is for sure. As I said at one of the graduations, I can't remember my graduation. I can't remember where it was or who was there. I imagine people were there, but I can't remember a thing. Well, no one is going to forget this. So, and that's it. I don't know if anybody else who was there. I know there was a number of board members there, and I always appreciate too, people showing up as do the kids. So thank you.
I'd like to add something too. We can't forget our buildings and grounds
Oh
people
my
and
God,
our
yes.
clericals who work behind the scenes to make this, to make these graduations possible. And of course, the board members and yourself as superintendent.
Well, thank you, Paula. And yes, you're absolutely right. The buildings and grounds, they rose to the challenge. They really did. They really wanted, they actually feel, just as we do, they want to put on a very special event for the community. So they took a great deal of pride in setting up the fields, making sure they were manicured beautifully.
Yeah, they were amazing.
They had it mapped out wonderfully. Everything was 6 feet apart or even more. They had arrows and circles everywhere, so no one was confused. You're absolutely right. Buildings and grounds outdid themselves this year. I think they do every graduation, but this one in particular they hit it out of the park. And the IT department, actually, we have Candace Chang on now. Her department was fantastic too. I mean, virtually every graduation we were threatened with some type of weather, or every day. And so the IT department had to deal with weather also, and they did a wonderful job. The secretaries were fantastic. The teachers who volunteered their time. The list was endless to make it, and security was terrific. I tell you what, did you notice the parking? The way they got the parents in such an organized fashion, and they made sure that everybody was socially distant as they entered the field, and then as they exited the school, it was really well designed and well orchestrated. So everybody kind of had a hand in it.
Yeah, it was a real team effort, and congratulations to everybody for their involvement and their contribution. And again, in closing, congratulations to the class of 2020, and to the point that Mr. Lochner said, you will always remember your graduation, because this is so bizarre. Everything that we've lived in the last few months. Miss Felix, congratulations to you. I know that you're the proud mom of a graduate this year. And I believe that you will always remember what it was that you were fighting for for the last few weeks, a few months, actually.
Can I say something about Juneteenth holiday? This board we are trailblazers in New York State, specifically on Long Island. We have put Juneteenth we have put that on our calendar. Not only is it just on the calendar to be a day off, but if you notice in the resolution, we want to include the African American community to support the development of culturally appropriate materials to educate the faculty, staff, students, and the community about Juneteenth. So this is a little bit more than just a holiday where everyone has a day off. So I'm pretty proud of our board and our superintendent for putting this on the calendar and putting it on the map, and hopefully other school districts will follow our lead.
Well said. Well said.
Okay. So with that said, I am going to ask that we adjourn tonight's meeting. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion.
Trustee Felix. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Trustee Holder Daniels. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Candace, I don't know if you can hear me or not. Can we have?
I can hear you.
Candace, Stacy is off as host. Is there any way that you could